George Kittle, who was tight end 3 last year, 60 receptions, 86 targets, 765 yards, 11 touchdowns, an average of 5.7 targets per game. Thoughts on George Kittle?
It was nice to see him get double-digit touchdowns, right? Like, Kittle is a guy who has been he plays extremely physical football, right? Like, he is a kid at heart. He loves to go out there and just smash into people. He can get nicked up a little bit, right? But Brock Purdy really liked him, right? And used him very well. And it kind of returned to he returned to form after kind of a 2-year and not quite what we expected out of Kittle type deal. So I think we might see a regression in the touchdowns just a little bit. Like, it wouldn't be surprised if we see 8 or 9 instead of 11. Maybe he sees a couple more receptions, especially since I think Purdy's going to be the starter outright for the season and just kind of be able to run it that way. But overall, he's a top 4 tight end. It really doesn't matter how you slice it. It's Kelsey, and then it's Andrew Kittle Pitts. Like, it's really just kind of lined up that way. So if you're wanting to go tight end, I guess Hawkinson's in there too. So maybe Hawkinson, Andrews, and Kittle. Pitts kind of fell out of the top 4, I guess. So regardless, if you want to go tight end earlier, you could do worse than George Kittle. I tend to stay away from him for whatever reason. Like, I just don't ever feel like he's in a position where I feel like, yes, this is value and I'm going to take him right here. I always find myself looking at a receiver or running back a little bit more. But for those people who like to, build their lineups a little differently, I understand it, right? He gets out into routes. He can block. He finds the end zone. He's a fun guy to root for, right? Like, he's just a big kid out there. So there's a ton of positive things with George Kittle. Myself personally, I tend to wait on tight end more, so Kittle's normally not on my radar. I'm building my roster different ways.
I think he's closer, these last 2 years is closer to what we can expect out of him versus those years 2 and 3 in San Francisco in his career. So I do think, yes, there's a reason I think we're all a little gun shy about George Kittle, because the ability to miss time is there, and we've seen it happen, and it's not fun when you do take a swing at a tight end that high and you lose out on it, because that's essentially a waste of a 4th round, 5th round pick, and that hurts. It hurts to miss out on a 4th or 5th round pick, especially at that position. So where there is such a discrepancy from 1 to 12. So I don't know. I'm still on the fence with George Kittle.
I'm out on where he's coming off the board, right? Like, coming off the board, pick kind of 50, right? You're talking 5th round there, tight end 4 in most cases coming off the board there right after Hawkinson. And I'm not going to do it, because when I look at it, right, I think that George Kittle is going to probably get somewhere around 60, 65 receptions this year, 800 yards and 6 touchdowns. Like, that's kind of where I see him coming to play, which is very similar to last year, which is going to put him, I can get I have probably better chances of a tight end or a wide receiver hitting those types of marks in a 5th round than necessarily, and actually outperforming that than what Kittle's going to do. So from a roster construction standpoint, I'm going to go other places.